Welcome to Global News on Signature TV. I am Barry Kumo Ado. In the headlines, Nigerian governors raise alarm over rising food costs, blame checkpoints and illegal taxes. Aliyah calls for establishment of state police intervention fund. Youth protests outside White House against war with Iran. A New Zealand Prime Minister says Cook Islands wasn't open for transparency about China's agreement. Details shortly.
With a population of about 36 million people, the Southeast is awash with stories. Every day on Southeast News, we tell the peculiar story of the Southeast and her people.
Our Southeast should be the Silicon Valley of Nigeria.
Their successes, achievements, and daily challenges. Do you have a Southeast story to share? Community achievements and challenges, completed and uncompleted projects, bad roads, water scarcity, erosion, flooding, insecurity, or even disagreements? Bring it on to Southeast News. On Southeast News, no story is too big or too small. Southeast News. Let's tell our story. Showing on Signature TV every weekday at 4 p.m. WAT, 1600 hours GMT.
Nigeria Governors Forum (NGF) is to collaborate with the federal government to enhance the free movement of goods across states by harmonizing levies and removing illegal checkpoints. In a communique signed by the chairman of the forum and governor of Kwara State, Abdul Rahman Abdul Razak, and read by Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, the 36 state governors expressed concern over the rising cost of food in the country. They acknowledge the urgency of the issue of food insecurity and express commitment to collaborate with federal authorities to improve the movement of goods across states. The forum received a briefing from the National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu, accompanied by the Ministers of Defense, Agriculture, Livestock Development and Transportation on the rising cost of food and livestock transportation across the country. The presentation revealed that the proliferation of checkpoints, illegal taxation and poor infrastructure are key contributors to price inflation and inefficiencies in the food supply chain. It emphasized the need for an amicable resolution between the World Bank and participating states to conclude the first phase of the World Bank program, which is designed to build long-term resilience for vulnerable households and enterprises. The meeting, which ended in the early hours of Thursday, had about 16 governors in attendance. The Senate Committee on Public Accounts has raised alarm over discrepancies involving trillions of naira in the audited financial statements of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, describing the revelations as mind-boggling and worrisome. The chairman of the committee, Aliyu Wadada, expressed a concern during an investigative session with Chief Financial Officer of the company, Dapo Shegun, who appeared before the committee. Wadada noted the absence of detailed records justifying massive legal and auditing fees paid by the company and the contradictions in the receivables reportedly worth over 210 trillion naira between 2017 and 2023. The committee said its concerns stemmed directly from the analysis of NNPC's audited financial statements spanning 2017 to 2023, and that the committee has now handed over a list of 11 queries to NNPC's finance team and given them 1 week to return with answers. Wadada warned that the matter will not be swept under the rug, especially as the Tinubu administration saying the present administration seeks transparency and accountability in public finance. The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Gas, Ekperikpe Ekpo, has called for stronger regional cooperation and innovation to unlock the full potential of Africa's vast natural gas resources, warning that national efforts alone are not sufficient. Ekpo stated this at the second edition of the Africa Gas Innovation Summit 2025, organized by the Society of Petroleum Engineers Nigeria Council in Abuja. The minister emphasized that without harmonized policies, shared infrastructure and cross-border partnerships, Africa's gas ambitions may fall short of a transformative promise. Secretary General of the African Petroleum Producers Organization, Dr. Umaru Farouk, decried Africa's continued dependence on energy exports, describing it as a major barrier to the continent's economic and social development. According to him, continent's over-reliance on energy export is evident in the fact that Africa, despite having the highest proportion of the world's population without access to modern energy, still exports 45% of the gas and 75% of crude oil it produces. In another development, the Senate Committee on Southwest Regional Development has screened and confirmed President Bola Tinubu's nominees for the governing board of the newly established Southwest Development Commission. Chaired by Yunus Akintunde, the committee charged the incoming board to set the pace for regional transformation by drawing inspiration from the legacy of the late sage Chief Obafemi Awolowo, who championed development in the Old Western region. While commending the caliber of individuals nominated, the committee emphasized the need for prudence, cautioning the Commission against engaging in contracts without guaranteed funding. Akintunde stated that the Senate will not tolerate contract abandonment or financial mismanagement.
One regional agency had been in existence for years in Nigeria, and there have been issues, mostly financial issues. I've tried to study their existence, their challenges, and so on. And I realized one thing. I could be wrong, I could be right. I noticed they have been violating what they call prudency concept. They award contracts that could not be paid for. They paid money that is not in existence. So many abandoned projects because they cannot fund those projects. They thought they were helping contractors, whereas they were killing them. Because if you give contract out and you can't pay, you are adding more to the problem of the society. Government's supposed to stimulate economy. There, they are killing the economy. Why? They could not go along with what I describe as prudency concept, which you know better than I do, that it cautions you, that you should take caution in recognizing inflow, in recognizing profit. 10,000 will come tomorrow, and they are awarding 10,000 contracts. And you will see, you know, none of us here could tell me that anybody predicted COVID. But it came, and it affected everything running. I just want to plead with you and the management in general that we should take caution in recognizing inflow. Thank you.
Deputy Chairman of the Committee, Benga Daniel, and former Senator representing Ogun West, Tolu Odebi, urged the governing board to live up to expectations, describing the Commission as a potential model for other regional development agencies in the country.
I'd like to say that today is a day of history. And I want to especially congratulate the President and Commander-in-Chief, because issues of regional support for our various state governments have been on the front burner in recent times. And it takes a lot of guts on the part of Mr. President and of course the Senate, who have deemed it necessary to go ahead with this initiative. But more than anything else, today we feel quite impressed with the quality of nominees that we have interviewed. I will not preempt the Senate. The report of what we have done will be forwarded to the leadership of the Senate, and I have no doubt in my mind that they will do justice. But from personal point of view, I think we've got a good team together, and I don't have any doubt that the Southwest Development Commission is going to be the primus pair in terms of all the other commissions.
The report of a screening is expected to be presented to the Senate Committee of the Whole for final adoption after resumption.
And having said that, I do not envy this new team, because I know a lot of people will be looking at them to develop at the fast pace in which was done in those days. I believe that the two people that have been selected as the chairman and as the MD are two highly disciplined and well-learned people. I mean, well suited for that position. And what I would advise them is to probably develop the economic strategy for the Southwest, reach out to all the international economic development agencies, economic donors, because really and truly, with the kind of decay that we've experienced over the years, I'm not sure that even whatever is given to them now is enough to enhance the development and intensify the rapid development that is necessary. So they have to go out of the environment and reach out to these development agencies and reach into all these organizations once they have a clear laid out roadmap, which has been laid out, and they bring in all the stakeholders to develop that blueprint. And once they have a blueprint that has been agreed upon, the good thing for them is that they also have the likes of Development Agenda for Western Nigeria, DON, and ODUA. They have been there. They know they know what needs to be done. They know all the old farm settlements that need to be revitalized, the industries that are in the Western region. So they have a clear blueprint. So they are lucky because they're not really starting from scratch. So they can look at that, enhance it, and now use it to develop their blueprint. And I wish them all the very best. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Major Hamza Al-Mustafa, a former chief security officer to late General Sani Abacha, has announced that he will run for president in 2027 under the Social Democratic Party. Al-Mustafa, who made a declaration in Mina during a meeting with the party's state leaders and its supporters, expressed readiness to lead Nigeria with honesty and a clear plan to fix the country. He stressed the need for strong leadership and unity to solve Nigeria's many problems. SDP chairman in Niger State, Buhari Yarima, welcomed Al-Mustafa's decision, praising his dedication to national service. Nigeria is exploring artificial intelligence as a mechanism for tackling the challenges of hate speech. This was one good news that emerged from a roundtable discussion organized by the Human Rights Commission to mark the International Day for Countering Hate Speech. Correspondent Chimezie Nzedima was at the event and now reports.
The roundtable with the theme, The Nexus Between Hate Speech and Artificial Intelligence, focused on promoting a human rights-based approach to addressing hate speech in Nigeria. The Executive Secretary of the Human Rights Commission, Dr. Tony Ojukwu, emphasized the dangers of hate speech to Nigeria's democratic values. He highlighted key initiatives the Commission has supported since the 2023 general elections and noted that in line with the year's theme, the Commission is exploring strategic partnership with tech platforms and regulatory bodies to harness artificial intelligence for the early detection of hate speech and AI-generated misinformation.
The Commission is expanding its work in this area by exploring AI-based tools that support early detection of hate speech and misinformation, partnering with tech platforms and regulatory bodies to encourage transparency and in algorithmic content moderation, and to demand accountability where violations occur. Additionally, developing a national framework for the ethical use of artificial intelligence and digital technologies in line with human rights principles, particularly as it concerns youth engagement, elections, and social media governance.
Still speaking at the event, Ajo Kubo, Senior Human Rights Advisor to the Office of the United Nations Resident Coordinator or Humanitarian Coordinator, stressed the importance of public awareness, accountability, policy advocacy, and intercommunal and religious engagement as vital tools in curbing hate speech and fostering social cohesion.
Our shared commitment includes awareness, recognizing the various forms hate speech takes, such as online slurs, coded language, and stereotyping. We also focus on accountability, pushing for policies that protect free expression, while simultaneously curbing incitement. This includes stronger platforms for accountability, transparency regarding content, ranking, and the labeling of AI-generated speech. We also call for action, supporting education programs and campaigns that celebrate diversity through education, advocacy, data, and digital literacy. We help foster stronger coalitions against hate. It is also vital to support community groups traditional and religious leaders, and community leaders. They are often the first responders in crisis, working to build coalitions against all forms of hate, intolerance, and discrimination.
Also addressing participants, Hilary Ogbonna, Senior Human Rights Advisor to the Executive Secretary of the NHRC, he noted ongoing engagement with legal bodies on reforms and collaborations with regulatory agencies to promote rights-respecting approaches to combating hate speech.
The National Human Rights Commission would want to continue to work with the media organizations to sustain campaigns in media spaces in countering hate speeches. The National Human Rights Commission would further engage with legislative bodies on appropriate legal reforms, incorporating what the ES has said in his speech, the role of artificial intelligence in either promoting human rights or violating human rights. And we want to walk that very tiny rope, but our major preoccupation as an NHRI is to protect human rights. The Commission will continue to engage with regulatory and law enforcement bodies in right-based approaches to countering hate speech. As we earlier mentioned, there is a thin line between hate speech and freedom of expression. So most of the time we have also noticed that for law enforcement and regulatory bodies, including the National Broadcasting Commission, in the guise of countering hate speech, the right to freedom of expression can also be violated. And it is this thin line that is the reason why Nigeria has a National Human Rights Commission.
The National Human Rights Commission reiterated its call for collective action. It urged government, media, civil society, and citizens to unite in building a society where human rights are upheld and hate speech finds no ground. In Abuja, I am Chimize Izedima for Signature TV.
Meanwhile, as conversations around hate speech grow louder, both globally and nationally, especially in the wake of efforts to regulate digital spaces, questions are being raised about the thin line between hate speech and freedom of expression. To get a pulse on public perception, we took to the streets of Abuja to find out what Nigerians really think.
A reasonable, irresponsible Nigerian should know the difference between hate speech and freedom of expression. Yes, the Constitution allows freedom of expression, but there's a limit. You don't just say because you have the freedom to to talk or so where your own rights stop, another person's starts. So you don't abuse that privilege given by the Constitution. So there should be an understanding as a Nigerian that yes, you don't need to abuse someone because you have the access to maybe social media and other platforms. So every Nigerian must understand the difference between hate speech and freedom of expression.
Not adequately. There's still need for education, need for advocacy, need for information in that regard. Public awareness, going down to the roots, going to the very bottom. It should the awareness should cut across social class or social stratum. It's been, well, quite bad, largely because, our people really do not appreciate enough this concept of a person's rights, starting where my own stops, really and truly. That's what it is.
As a citizen, the way we are using our media space, because now you can, with your phone, you can express whatever you like, you can say whatever you like, but the way we are using it is very, very bad. If this all these kind of hate speeches and the way we are using our media space continue like this, in the next 10 years, on the long run, things will be very difficult within the media space.
Okay, as a citizen, everybody, people are really practicing freedom of speech, because as it stands now, because it's, we the citizen, we have to talk. We have to talk our way out. That is it. Now, as the current, during the election is going on, everybody has the right to say, to talk, for the betterment of the country, and when you talk about the hate speech, so many people are having negative things about, Nigerians. They do speak, unprogressive or negative word concerning the country. And as a citizen, the this is our country, and as a betterment for our country, we have to be declaring the good things about our country. So it's not only, when you look at it, it's not only the president. So we have to support the country for country to move on. As for the freedom of expression, everybody has it, and people are also going along with it.
When you are talking of hate speech, it's a setback. You understand? It's a setback. Because there are things that I, as a Hausa man, can do. But because of that hate speech, or whatever, they say, after all, na Hausa, na Akuya. He doesn't know what he's doing. So you understand? So for me to be in that place, there will be that discrimination. I won't be there. Whereby, if I'm there, I believe I can do much, much better. But they say if you want to try someone, give him a leadership, let him try. And from there, you will know whether he can do it or he cannot do it. But hate speech will just blow it out and then keep you aside.
To be honest with you, government is not really doing enough. I think it goes on a national orientation agency to educate, create more platform where Nigerians can be educated on the need to understand why they should not take hate speech as a freedom of expression.
The government have hijacked the media space, the real media space. They have hijacked in the sense that if the media houses now, if they express what the Nigerians are saying, the government will now see as this media is attacking them, or they are bringing an issues that is attacking the government of the day. But it's not so.
The Independent National Electoral Commission has denied reports circulating online claiming that two new political parties, the Independent Democrats and the People's Democratic Movement, have been registered by the Commission. An official statement issued by the Commission via its X handle, INEC described the report as false and urged members of the public to disregard it. INEC also addressed the history of the two political groups, mentioning the fake report, noting that both groups were registered as political parties in August 2013. According to the Commission, they were deregistered in February 2020 in accordance with Section 225A of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Residents, drivers and commuters have expressed dismay at a very deplorable condition of some vital roads in the state despite ongoing reconstruction of some urban roads in Enugu. One such road begging for urgent attention is the Alo Street in Tinkas Corner, Enugu, connecting some important institutions including the Ojus Okalu Estate, the corporate headquarters of Signature TV, the Godfrey Okoye University and some big hotels. Correspondent Raymond Ken Mbata, who took a trip on the road, described the experience as a nightmare.
Alo Street is a major link that connects Tinkas Corner with Emene, New Haven, and the Enugu to Abakaliki Road, amongst other areas of the state capital. It is also a connection to some schools, churches, and housing estates in the area. And with the current closure of the entry into Abapanike, Alo Street Abapa has provided an alternative route to road users, including those connecting the Enugu-Onitsha Express Road. However, the current deplorable state of the road, especially this rainy season, is bringing untold hardship to commercial and private vehicle operators who have to contend with the incessant breakdown of their vehicles. Some tricycle operators plying the route outline the challenges they face on a daily basis and the resultant cost of repairs.
The state of road in Tinkas Corner is that, let's say, some of these roads in Tinkas Corner, some of them are spoiled and they need government to put eye on the road, to control the roads, because some roads here is linked to so many directions like Abapa and MMA. So this Tinkas Corner has many routes. It has many places that it leads to. So government should put eye on this road to make it solid and make it okay. So it can help some other roads, like all this, to stop those roads at Abapa Junction and some other places like Abapa 2. So this road too can help too.
The condition of road in this Tinkas Corner is unbearable. It was so bad that I was into thinking if maybe the state governor had forgotten Tinkas Corner. Because it took a load of some of the roads here, it's not good. Wood that are operating as a commercial tricycle. Sometimes we bought tires who are supposed to last for 12 months, sometimes 6 to 8 months they have spoiled. And the maintenance of keke is not easy as people may think because of the bad road what have been causing us. So you may get money today, tomorrow you use it for mechanic. So it's nothing to write home about.
A resident, Josephine Okwefuna, while acknowledging the efforts of the state government in road rehabilitation, appealed for equal attention to be given to Thinkers Corner as a vital link between Abapa and Emene as well as other strategic areas.
We had a lot of bad roads in this Thinkers Corner. And I overheard there was a guy I went to because I'm a member of Community Chaplains Community Psychology. So one of the government participants in any district happens to come there. So they gave the man microphone to talk, and he was speaking that the governor have awarded 20 roads to Castle. So that's good about the government, understand? But he should do it fast because the rainy season is around the corner. You know, if you want that at Asado, they are doing work there, doing the gutter, you know, but the rain is disturbing them.
The importance of good roads to development and its numerous other benefits, including increased economic activities, enhanced safety, improved access to services, and environmental benefits, makes it a basic necessity. And as often said, what is good for the goose is good for the gander. In other words, what is good for residents of other areas is equally good for residents of Alaw Street and Thinkers Corner as a whole. Raymond Ken Mbata reporting for Signature TV.
NAF airstrikes destroy IED factory, eliminate terrorists in Borno. EFCC arrest ex-Plateau Speaker and 14 others of alleged 2.5 billion naira scam. Details of these and more after the break. The Defense Headquarters, Nigerian Police Force and other key security agencies have partnered with the Nigerian Communications Satellite Limited to deploy satellite technology in addressing the country's pressing security issues. Collaboration was highlighted during the launch of a second phase of a NICOM-SAT accelerator program, which took place in Abuja on Wednesday. Chief of Defense Staff General Christopher Musa, who was represented by Air Vice Marshal Vincent Agui, noted that satellite assets could play a crucial role in military operations aimed at tackling insurgents, terrorists, kidnappers, and other criminal groups threatening national stability. Inspector General of Police Kayode Egbetokun, represented by Police Commissioner Ahmed Sule, stressed the significance of deploying digital solutions for intelligence gathering, security mapping, and tracking criminal activities. The Managing Director and Chief Executive of NICOM-SAT, Jane Egerton Idean, stressed that Nigeria must not be left behind in the race towards the global space economy, which is projected to reach $1 trillion in the next few years. She described the NICOM-SAT Accelerator Program as a pivotal milestone aimed at unlocking Nigeria's space tech potential and nurturing a local ecosystem driven by innovation and entrepreneurship. The Nigerian Air Force says its strikes have destroyed terrorist improvised explosive devices IED factory, gun trucks, and eliminated dozens of fighters in Kwaltiri within the Tumbuktu Triangle in Borno State. Spokesman of the Nigerian Air Force, Air Commodore Ehime Ejodame, who announced this in a statement on Thursday, said the strikes were conducted on June 18, following intelligence reports of terrorist activity in the area. Ejodame said that surveillance confirmed the presence of an IED-making site and vehicles which were struck in precision passes by NAF aircraft. The operation, it said, is a major blow to terrorist fighting capabilities as the successful strikes disrupted their command and control, as well as logistics chains. He noted that the strike sent shockwaves through their ranks, significantly degrading their morale and operational momentum. The paramount ruler of Chief Nation, His Royal Majesty Professor James Ayase, has urged President Bola Tinubu to take urgent steps to end the recurrent violence in Benue State. Speaking during the President's condolence visit to Benue State on Wednesday, following the massacre of over 200 people in Yelwata Guma local government area, Torti said the killings in Benue State are not clashes between herders and farmers, but a planned attack aimed at taking over land. Called on the federal government to match words with action by strengthening security in rural communities, ensuring justice for victims, and bringing perpetrators to book. The royal father emphasized that people of Benue who were peace-loving and law-abiding have endured repeated attacks by armed assailants with little reprieve.
We do have grave concern about the misinformation and misrepresentation of the security crisis in Benue State.
Security chiefs, including the police, military and intelligence agencies, to fish out the perpetrators of a crime and bring them to book. They assured the people of Benue that their pain had not gone unnoticed and pledged concrete action to restore peace in the state. Tinubu arrived at the Tactical Air Command, Nigeria Air Force Base. Makudi went straight to the hospital to visit surviving victims of last Friday's massacre. Meanwhile, Benue State Governor Hyacinth Alia is asking the federal government to establish state police and an intervention fund to address the wave of killings in the country. Alia made the appeal when President Bola Tinubu visited Benue State over the recent killings in the state, so that such a fund will go a long way in supporting the rehabilitation of displaced persons, the building of destroyed infrastructure, and restoring the livelihoods of farmers and families. The governor maintained that though the establishment of state police has its own challenges, it is critical to stemming the tide of violence in Benue State. The governor thanked Tinubu for the visit to the state and said it has energized the people in the wake of the killings, which took scores of lives and rendered thousands of others homeless. There is growing outrage across Nigeria over disturbing videos showing school children standing under heavy rain to welcome President Bola Tinubu during his visit to Benue State on Wednesday. The videos, widely shared on social media, have sparked strong reactions. Former Education Minister Obi Ezekwesili called it a show of zero care from the political class, while youth activist Rinu Oduala and others condemned what they described as political insensitivity and poor governance. Many Nigerians say the act reflects deeper issues of political disregard and societal failure, with some calling for accountability and reform in the way citizens, especially children, are treated by those in power. The Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria has condemned the killing of dozens of residents in Yelwata community of Benue State. Magban President Baba Ngezama, in a statement, commiserated with the federal government, the government and people of Benue State, describing the recent wave of violence as needless and senseless. Zagama lamented what he described as systemic neglect of Fulani pastoralists, saying many of the members lack access to media and live in remote areas where the suffering is rarely reported or acknowledged. Later, between January 2024 and December 2024, 44 herders were killed and 328 cows stolen in Gwer West and Logo local government areas, while over 57 herders have been killed and more than 4,348 cattle rustled across Benue State since January 2025. Ngezama called on political, traditional, religious and community leaders in Benue State to stop promoting divisive narratives and instead work towards peaceful coexistence between farmers and herders. A death toll from the herdsmen attacks in Agu Amedu Autonomous Community in Hamufu in Isuzu local government area of Enugu State has risen to 12 following the discovery of more bodies from the bushes. Residents of the border communities with Benue State have started fleeing their homes as threats of imminent attacks got to them on Tuesday. 7 residents of Ekpakpara village in Agu Amedu were said to have been brutally massacred by the armed herdsmen, while several others were still missing, as search parties have been launched to recover the missing residents dead or alive. Speaking to Signature TV in a telephone chat, a community leader in Hayamufu, Ike Chigweze, said the local government, state and federal governments have all failed in a fundamental responsibility of ensuring the security of lives of the people of the area. He lamented that the killings in the area has persisted despite street protests by the people of the area, especially the women, saying the situation has left the people in confusion, panic and total frustration.
It is not hidden, it is known. Social media have been carrying it. Both states and federal government at all levels knows that there have been killings in Hayamufu for years now, just like you have said. And the women came out in their numbers around March this year, protested, and it was carried live in some social media and television stations, and so it went viral. So that nothing has really happened to stop it, I would say, is a failure on part of both local, state, and federal governments to do the needful in terms of providing the adequate security to curb this ugly incident that has taken so many lives of the people of Hayamufu.
The attack is the latest in a series of violent assaults by suspected Fulani headsmen in Hayamufu, which resulted in the deaths of tens of farmers and widespread sexual violence against women. Sunday's attack is the second in 1 week, coming nearly 3 months after women from 7 autonomous communities in Hayamufu protested against incessant attacks by Fulani headsmen. The people of Umumba Ndiago in the Ezeagu local government area of Enugu State say they have banished the suspected native doctor and ritual killer Obi Levi Obieze, Elias Ezani, and his followers for alleged involvement in human rituals in the area. President General of Umumba Ndiago, Donatus Ufanye-Bunam, announced the sanctions with members of the communities in the area gathered for what they described as a cleansing of the land, following shocking revelations of ritual killings allegedly committed by the native doctor. Correspondent Precious Chiagoro has the report.
The people of Umumba Ndiago in Ezeagu local government area were left in shock after startling revelations were made that the community was a den of ritual killings and other atrocities perpetrated by a native doctor, Obi Levi Obieze, and his followers. The people, however, believe that the soil, having been messed up by the ritualists, needs some cleansing. Led by the traditional ruler Igwe H.M. Ozilo, the people condemned the act in strong terms and said that the cleansing and prayers were for God's forgiveness and to save them from the sins of the suspect and his evil actions. The Holy Mass was conducted at St. Peter Claver Parish, Umumba Ndiago, as part of a spiritual effort to purify the land believed to have been desecrated with human blood, after which the community proceeded in a solemn procession to Umuojo village, Isiago, the hometown of the suspect. In a sermon during a holy mass to round off the prayers and cleansing, the parish priest of St. Peter's Catholic Church, Umumba Ndiago, Reverend Father Ruben Okofia, alleged that Levi Obieze had warned him and members of the church to stop conducting prayers and adoration in the area, especially at Isiago, Umumba Ndiago. Reverend Father Okofia said rather than physical combat, he and members of the church fought the evil man Ezani spiritually, resulting in the exposure of Obieze's evil activities.
We pray Almighty God to cleanse our land of all its defilement caused by Ezani. I did not take action because I didn't want to have a loggerhead with him, but I used prayer, you say, to fight him. I fought him spiritually. Even when we did adoration last time at Umuojo, we prayed over it. I pray Almighty God to take control of that particular matter. And Almighty God took control eventually by bringing exactly what he was doing to light so that everybody could see the evil he had been doing.
The President General of Umumba Ndiago, Donatus Ufanye-Bunam, lamented that the lack of access road had made it difficult for security operatives to patrol the area effectively and fish out evildoers, and appealed to the state government to construct the road to the area. He hinted that the communities had engaged more security personnel to guard all parts of the area, pointing out that the youths were combing the various communities to fish out suspected followers of the evil man and others who engaged in nefarious activities.
We want to pray to God to forgive us the sins of our brother who killed many people here. That's the reason why we are here today, to do that reparation and prayers in this arena. We have no good road. No good road. Before the security will come here, it will take them time. And that's the reason why we are pleading to government to build our road so that security people can do their work, so that all these atrocities will not happen again in our community.
The father of the 13-year-old girl allegedly kidnapped by the suspected agents of the Ezani, Peter Okonkwo, said his daughter was forcefully snatched from him by the kidnappers. While expressing gratitude to the government for promising to take care of his child, he appealed for more assistance to enable him take care of the remaining members of his family.
2 young men met me, stopped their motorcycle, and told me to give them my machete, which they want to use to repair their motorcycle. I did that. They later told my daughter, Okamaka, to help them push their motorcycle. I objected, wondering why my small daughter should push motorcycle for 2 able-bodied young men. They later abducted the girl, put her on the motorcycle, and sped off.
The traditional ruler of the area, Igwe H.M. Ozilo, revealed that the protest by the residents was to prove that the people were against the evil and that the traditional institutions in the area had warned the people against engaging in nefarious activities.
Evil happened in Omomba, which is very bad and abominable. I had to cry out, and my people rallied. I thank them very much for their support.
Ozilo was optimistic that the state government would improve the condition of the roads and security in the community and the entire Eziagu local government area. Remains of burned vehicles and the demolished mansion were found at Obieze's compound. A subsequent search by security operatives uncovered multiple shallow graves in Obieze's compound, including the body of a pregnant woman, suggesting ritualistic killings. Obieze fled the community but was later arrested by officers of the Nigerian Immigration Service at the Badagry-Seme border in Lagos. Precious Chagoro, reporting for Signature TV.
A sexual and gender-based violence court sitting in Awka, Anambra State, presided over by Justice Peace Oti, sentenced a 34-year-old school teacher to 12 years imprisonment for defiling his 11-year-old male GSS1 student. The defendant, Pascal Ofomata, was charged with rape and inflicting physical harm, punishable under Section 3.1 and 4.1 of the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Law, an offense of sexual abuse, punishable under Section 35.2 of the Child Rights Law of Anambra State. A former teacher at St. Christopher's Junior Seminary, 33 Onitsha, who pleaded not guilty to the 3-count charge, denied penetrating the boy, but admitted to acts amounting to sexual abuse. In a judgment, Justice Oti convicted the defendant and sentenced him to 12 years imprisonment and barred him from working in any institution involving minors, including primary, secondary, and tertiary. The family residence of a suspended senator representing Kogi Central Senatorial District, Natasha Akpoti-Oduah, was attacked on Tuesday night at her home country in Hima, Okeyi local government area of Kogi State. One of the suspects, identified as Suberu Jose, an alleged spirit ritualist, are reportedly affiliated with the lawmaker's political opposition, and a native of the community was arrested at the scene, confessed to the crime, and admitted that this was his 3rd time participating in attacks at the lawmaker's family home. A mob attempted to descend on the suspect, but he was rescued and handed over to the police. Meanwhile, a cutlass and charms were recovered from him, while other suspects involved in the attack, armed with dangerous weapons, remain at large. Senator Akpoti-Oduah's family home was previously attacked on April 15, 2025. This attack comes at a time the federal government filed 2 separate criminal charges against Senator Akpoti-Oduah following public accusations of sexual harassment against Senate President Godswill Akpabio. Allegations had led her to led to a controversial 6-month suspension from the Senate. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has arrested a former Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly, Moses Sule, alongside 14 former lawmakers over allegations of money laundering and abuse of office. Suspects were arrested by operatives of the Makurdi Zonal Directorate of the EFCC following petitions from concerned citizens in the state. A statement released by the Commission said the former legislators allegedly violated provisions of the Money Laundering Prevention and Prohibition Act 2022 and were also implicated in procurement irregularities. 14 others arrested alongside Sule include Watson Form, Sani Abubakar, Joel Philip Guam, Thomas Dantong, Happiness Akawo, Cornelius Doktyok, Abalak Ibrahim, Danjuma Azi, Bala Ndat, Salome Wanglet, Namba Rimuya, Nimchak Rims, Ishaku Marin, and Paul Datugon. Anti-graft agencies said the suspects will be charged to court upon conclusion of investigations. Still to come, endangered black rhinos moved to Mozambique Park from South Africa. UK farm swaps milk for cow curdles as floods, food prices take toll. Do stay with us.
We are local.
The international community is observing
Why the main market is in chaos. People are...
We are national.
Those in support of this motion as amended, say aye. Aye. We have taken it by default.
We are international.
Israeli airstrikes.
Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
10 critically endangered black rhinos have been successfully relocated from South Africa to Mozambique's Zinimpe National Park, marking the first viable breeding population in the country in over 50 years. The translocation, led by South African and Mozambican authorities in partnership with Peak Parks Foundation, aims to boost conservation and restore biodiversity in the region.
Sadly, in Mozambique, there are very few black rhinos, less than 20. So South Africa has a good population, of a healthy population of black rhinos. And one of our main goals at the moment is to try and move some excess animals from South Africa to the well-protected park in Mozambique called Zanav. They have, I think, 10 or 12 black rhinos. With the movement of these 10, we're almost going to double the park's population.
Were sedated, dehorned for safety and transported in a 48-hour journey from Hululuwe and Mfolozi Park. The arrival brings Zinave's black rhino count to over 20, a key number for genetic diversity.
Mozambique's proudly the first Big Five national park in Mozambique now. We've already got 27 white rhino and 12 black rhino. To have a viable population that can increase in numbers and thus potentially repopulate other parks in Mozambique. But the scientists say we need somewhere around 15 plus, 16 plus. So these additional 10 rhino will bring us to no more than 20. And with that, it's a viable breeding population from both size and genetic variety. We hope that in future years we can start repopulating other conservation areas in the country. But black rhino are particularly special. They're far more rare and far more endangered than white rhino. There's not a large number around, and not many conservation areas have the luxury of having black rhinos in the population. If you look at Zanav National Park, it's got a history of having black rhinos there. It's got a very suitable habitat of forbs and bushes that black rhino like. So it's putting them back into the landscape that they used to be. And just once again, the being highly endangered. It's something of much interest for us to achieve.
Years of flooding and unprofitable milk prices have forced Dumble Farm in northeast England to abandon dairy production and turn to an unusual new venture, charging visitors to cuddle cows. Founded in the 1970s, the farm faced repeated crop losses and the disappearance of key grazing grounds due to extreme weather, making dairy farming unsustainable. Climate change has hit agriculture hard, with rising heat, droughts and floods disrupting farming across Europe. In 2022, Dumble Farm sold most of its dairy herd and launched cow cuddling experiences as a way to stay afloat and fund conservation efforts. For €95, guests can brush, stroke and relax with the cows in a straw-lined barn. The experience also includes a mini safari to see Highland cattle. Farmer James McCune said it took over a year to train the cows for close human interaction, but now they enjoy their attention like big dogs. Proceeds from the experience support a wildlife conservation scheme on the farm, including habitat restoration for endangered species like the lapwing bird.
We started off as a dairy farm basically from the early 1970s when my dad bought this farm. So basically all my life I milked cows up until 3 years ago, and over the last 10 years the amount of flooding and the pressures on our land were just making it unsustainable for us to carry on. So we had to make the hard decision to sell the dairy cows. It was a very hard decision. We love our cows and we didn't want to be without cows, and so we thought, well, we need to do something else.
Took about a year to get cow cuddling right. The first 6 months we were open, we just did a general animal experience, and he came to me to cuddle cows for 10 minutes or so at the end, just to get him used to people. And then the next 6 months we started doing specific cow cuddling experiences, but again it took a full 6 months to get him into this routine of sitting down. We had to work out how to get him to lay down like this to be ready to be cuddled. And now they just do it all the time. They like the attention. We only use this pen for cow cuddling, so they know when they come in here they know what's going to happen. As you can see, they like being pampered. They're like big dogs, really. They like the attention. We call it cow cuddling. It's more of a spa day for the cows. They come in here and get pampered for an hour or so.
So gentle. You think you might come and be a little bit afraid of them, but they are so gentle. Just like big dogs. It's really special. Really, really. It's like really connecting.
Really supportive. She just loves the cuddle, you can just tell, you know, as you're stroking her, she's like, almost like a purr, and yeah, just you can just kind of sink in, you know.
Best. It's not too obvious, but if you look around my home, I've got cow slippers, cow mugs and portraits and coasters, you name it, it's probably there. So we came all the way from near Gatwick, so it was like a 5-hour drive, but it's been incredible. It's been so worth it just to get so close to the cows, and they are so loving and gentle, and that has been the most incredible experience.
Most farmers are definitely now having to diversify and do something else. There just really isn't any money in farming. All the subsidies have been taken away now. We found that when we were dairying, we made no money whatsoever. The only little bit of money we had was from our single farm payment subsidy, and that's what bought a replacement second-hand tractor or repaired a shed or something each year. You know, we worked ridiculously long hours. It was very hard milking cows, and we never made any money at all in the end.
That's the news this hour. I am Barikumo Ado. Thank you very much for watching.